Okay, Itamekskanatoni, good morning. It is about 10 o'clock in the AM on my favorite day of the week, Thursday, May 23rd, if I'm not mistaken, 2019, in the lunar cycle Machi Kapeseki, from the frog moon, which is the first of our 6 summer lunar cycles this year. It's not always that way. We don't always have 6. Most of the time it's 5. And when we do have 6, things get a little wonky, as they are right now. Thursday. So it's time for an update, and Thursday's always been my favorite day. I don't know. Well, I do know. I shouldn't say I don't know why. Why is because of Magnum PI. Early 1980s, Magnum PI was on Thursday nights, and I really dug Magnum PI. I thought for sure I was going to be a sailor or a private detective or something when I'd grow up. The whole sailor thing too was like augmented by when Robin Williams' movie Popeye came out, because I really dug that too. So like I had my dad shave my head, and I had my mom buy me a hammock that I slept in for like a year. True stories. And I thought I might get along with the Boy Scouts. Hey, I thought I might be a Boy Scout. So I joined this troop. And they met on Thursday nights, and it was a problem, you know? Like, not only did they have, like, far more affiliation with church stuff than I had imagined, and that in itself probably would have caused a pretty rapid breakdown in my relationship with them, but having their meetings on, insisting on having their meetings on Thursday nights was like, nah, this I can't do this. I did it for like 2 meetings, and then I had missed enough Magnum that I was just like, you know, because in those days I don't even think we had our first VCR yet when the original Magnums were playing. I know I video recorded the Magnum episodes, but I think that was later on when they were in reruns and that kind of thing. When the originals were playing, you know, if you missed the show, you missed the show. And you might be able to catch it in a rerun in the summer or something. So to miss 2 episodes, to go hang out with these Boy Scouts that were all religioned up, yeah, I couldn't do it. So I quit Boy Scouts pretty quick. Thursdays. We'll see what happens this Thursday. Right now, I'm dropping down into the Alexander Wilderness Park. Got my roly-poly dog with me, and in the back of our Jeep, we've got a skunk from the industrial side of the north side of town, at one of the liquor distilleries. I've had a trap set up for I think over a month, and I caught their one skunk pretty quick. But then they were seeing the second one on their video cameras, and I couldn't catch it. And they were rebaiting it, you know, and setting it up. Finally, we've got it, the second skunk. So, moving that guy this morning. And, you know, I haven't had a whole lot of work lately other than skunks. Things have been like, you know, things were picking up, and then we got this cold shot and like a week of rain. And that's why on my channel you just seen, you know, I've been posting these like re-encapsulations, if that's a word, of the projects that I did over the last couple of months. The beaver project at the nature center, and the Fort Whoop-Up, the augmentation to their teepee camp outside. You know, making those videos was kind of a good closure for me for those projects, but really I put those videos up because I just didn't have much more content to add over the last week. It's been very slow. We got this cold shot, we got rain. It might turn out to be Misamsota, the long rain, you know, that we have usually in the lunar cycle, called Misamsota, which typically wouldn't occur quite yet. We still have, like, we're in the latter half of the frog moon, then we got the flower moon, and then the long rains. But in these 6 lunar cycle summers, goofy things can happen. So we might have just had our long rains, and during that time, of course, the snakes went back under, and all I had going work-wise was the skunks, you know. And I've got traps right now. I've got traps set up pretty much like all over town to catch skunks. Most of my traps are in use right now, but I'm only getting maybe one a day or so. So during the wet week, I definitely had some skunk calls, but not an overwhelming amount. Baby skunks haven't started emerging yet, and when that happens, I think things are really gonna pick up for my mornings. But as it is right now, things are a little bit slow, and made slower by the poor weather. Probably the most exciting of the skunk calls that I had over the last few days was yesterday's call, and that only because the skunk got in a couple of good shots where it tried to spray me, and I know it hit the camera, but looking at the video last night, I don't think the spray shows up on the lens. But you do, when I slow it down, you can really see the couple of sprays, couple of shots it took. It took a third shot later at the release site, but you don't really see that. You do see that he kind of turns on me, which most skunks don't, you know. But this one kind of turned and was challenging me a bit, and I had to back up, in fact, to kind of make sure I wasn't in the spray distance, you know. It's like rattlesnakes. Make sure you're out of the strike distance. With skunks, make sure you're out of the spray distance. Let's release this guy, and then I'll continue on with the narrative. There you go, buddy. Off he runs. Yeah, so I've had a little bit of skunk business. Not much else. This week and next week, though, is all full of, like I started yesterday, I've got a bunch of field activities lined up with some of the primary schools and middle schools around town, and that's through the nature center that lines me up with that. They've got a natural leaders project that the last couple of years they've brought me into classrooms and let me take the kids outside, and when they come outside with me, it's always a real adventure, you know. They won't forget it, because I'm either like jumping in the water to grab turtles to show them, or like yesterday, I had the group fording through the river looking for clams and clam shells and stuff. But really, I just wanted to get them wet and get them in the water, and really succeeded in some cases. One. Goodness. Oh, we got water wars started.
Oh, I can go all the way over there. I can go across.
One of the kids, few kids took dives, but one of them I caught on camera. Yeah, so I'm doing that again this afternoon with another group, and again tomorrow with a third group, and then next week it's pretty much every day that I'll be out with. I think one of the days I'm in classrooms, but that's my afternoon activity, and hopefully start getting snake calls again. Things are warming up again. You know, it's already t-shirt weather this morning, just walking out the door, and I think it's gonna get plenty warm for me. I hope so anyway, because I'm thinking about releasing Charlie. A lot of people have been asking, what's the status of Charlie? What's the status of Charlie? Charlie is refusing to eat his second mouse. I've left it in there with him. I know you're not supposed to leave mice in there with snakes because they'll bite the snake, that kind of thing. I've been feeding the mouse though, like he hasn't been without food. But I've just been waiting for things to warm up so I can take Charlie, and I think I'm gonna release him. He's really skinny. I'm quite worried about his health since he's not eating the second mouse, even though he's done his brumation shed. He hasn't passed the first mouse. You know, he hasn't had a evacuation, so to speak. So he never passed his first mouse. It could be that, you know, something's not good with the poop chute after our surgery. But, you know, if that's the case, I really don't know what I can do about it. I don't expect that I'll be able to sort that out and fix it with the vet. I think if that's the case, Charlie's just hooped. But I don't think Charlie's hooped. I think things are going to work out for him. I suspect, though, maybe he needs some snake medicine that I can't give him. And the only place maybe he can get that is out in his habitat and with the other snakes and that kind of thing. So I'm going to probably release him, maybe even this afternoon. In fact, we could go do that right now before my morning session. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go pick up Charlie. So I stopped off at the house and picked up Charlie. I tubed him and brought him out to the vehicle and put him in the black transport box for the carry. Happy to report that when I took him out of the enclosure, I looked in the hut in his little house there, no mouse, which means, you know, as of last time I really checked him, which was yesterday, and today, he finally ate that mouse. So that's a good sign. It's way better than what I was thinking this morning as I was considering the release. You know, it's warmed up. I really should release him at this point, but I was worrying that he wasn't eating again. But it makes sense. You know, Charlie was starving. He expended so much energy over the winter that, you know, he was very skinny as of yesterday. Today he's not quite as skinny, but he's still skinny. But I think the first meal that he ate, he had to just let it settle. You know, it's just like anybody else who's done a long fast or something like that. You can't just jump right into eating anything. You know, if you've had a long fast, you can't jump into like a 4-course meal. You gotta like start off with a soup, something very thin and watery and stuff, you know, some vegetables, some celery, stuff like that, to just start getting some solids in your system. A starving snake doesn't have that option to start slow. He's got to take a whole meal in, which is what Charlie did, and it probably overwhelmed him, you know, after the long winter. So it took him a while to get ready for his next meal, and finally last night, I guess he ate it. So that's a good sign. That's a better sign that Charlie's going to be healthy. For those of you who've been following the channel, I don't know if you remember when I originally picked Charlie up, he was at the Paradise Canyon Golf Club, and that means that Charlie is really a snake that belongs probably in Popson Park, or you know, in Paradise Canyon somewhere, just in the coulee above the golf club. But like Mandy of last year, I don't feel comfortable relocating him back to Popson because that place is under huge construction right now. And if he's going to go on the move, and that's, you know, he's probably going to run into a lot of obstacles, I want to give him the best chance he's got at surviving. And so I'm bringing him out here to Cottonwood, to the same place that I left Mandy, and for the same reasons. Mandy didn't really come from Cottonwood either, but just to give her the best shot, I brought her out here. And so we're going to release Charlie at the actual same den where I did Mandy's release the year before. So I picked up Mahoney from work. Of course, she wanted to come see Charlie being released. And we're on our way to the den site now. We're starting to get into the area where there's potentially going to be snake encounters. And so you can see she's just kind of taking it slow and making sure that there's no snakes along her path, given that she's just in shorts and sandals like me. I'm so familiar with Charlie at this point, I feel like I can just reach in and grab him.
That's a bad idea.
It's not a good idea. No. But you know, it's kind of scary when you get so familiar with a venomous snake. You start to, little by little, lose your sense that, you know, something bad could happen.
You trust it.
You trust it.
Because you've been around it so long, you trust it. But you always got to remember that story. It's a snake.
Yeah, it's still
you knew it was a snake.
It's still a venomous snake.
You knew it would bite you.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
So we're going to tube him anyway, so we can at least be kind of up close to him as he goes. If he'll agree to the tubing here, he's being kind of
ornery.
He's not wanting to. Wiggle. There we go. There we go.
Scary.
Get him wiggly. Get in there. Get in the tube.
Yeah, that's scary.
All right. Gonna say goodbye to Charlie. He's probably gonna go right down the hole.
Look at me, look at me, look at me. Okay, one of those gotta be good.
Yeah.
Bye, Charlie.
All right, Charlie. Go in the hole. I see you again, but you're in Cottonwood, so maybe not.
Stay away from people if we don't want to see us again. Stay away from where the people are at. Bye, Charlie. Thank you.
He goes.
Yay, Charlie's back home. He's gonna be home with his people now. I'm sure he's very happy about that.
That's two wounded snake survivals.
3 wounded snake survivals. We had Rupert. But we don't know if he survived.
We don't know if he survived.
But
Charlie's got a better chance than Rupert had for the same condition.
Yeah.
Rupert was still like pooping blood when we
and he was still pretty sick.
And I let him go before the winter.
Yeah. Yeah, it was right before winter.
I thought he was going to die, so I let him go.
Yeah, we thought we knew what we were doing.
But Charlie, I think he's going to be fine. The summer's on now. He's got a whole season to kind of get his bearings in this new place. He's wintered in a different place already, so he's not going to go looking for his old haunts. Most likely, he's just going to get used to what's here. So yeah, he's off and he's in good condition. We're releasing him at the same spot Mandy was released. So I count that as really 2 good rescues in a row.
Great.
2 winters in a row. Just back at the apartment now with Anya, the raccoon. And Roly Poly, my scaredy cat sidekick. No, he's a good boy, but he's kind of like Scooby-Doo. You expect a dog to protect you, not run away. Oh, poor Poly. Anyway, as you saw, Charlie's release went really well. I got a kick out of it because afterward Mahoney posted a picture of me at the release site with Charlie. And she posted it on Instagram and she captioned it something like, you know, my driver and I released Charlie the Rattlesnake. And that's the second post that she's done where she's called me her driver, you know, like she's Ivanka Trump. Or whoever, you know. Mahoney's got, I'm her driver now. I get a kick out of it. And she knows that I caught on to that, you know, with the very first time she used it. So now she's just using it just to mess with me, which is fun. I don't mind. Yeah, so after after Charlie's release, I had to go and do another round with students at the wetlands, and so this was grade 4 and 5 students, and they got even more into it than yesterday's. So I'm gonna give you a look at that for a second. Check it out.
Oh no!
Oh, he's catching a different one.
Oh, look, he got it. Oh, he got it.
What's that? Okay, hold on. We're gonna talk about him. So, all right. So obviously, there's a really good population of painted turtles here. In Blackfoot, they're called spopi, which means they sit on top, which is what we see them doing. Hey, they're sitting on top of everything. So this is a young one. The reason that they're called painted turtles is because they're all colorful, right? Each one's got a unique design, so you can tell individual turtles by their design. Who's gonna dunk all the way under?
Hey, are they supposed to go there? Hey, are they supposed to go there?
They can if they want.
I'll go in.
Are ya? Let's see it. It's gonna go all the way. It's gonna go all the way. Oh! Yeah.
I do this all the time. Why are there wimpy people?
I don't know. It's hilarious.
I just like that bitty thing. And then there's people.
They're falling in.
I could have died of that.
You could have.
So small.
What? No way. Oh! You went right swimming.
I am swimming, yay! I want to be swimming. I'm Can I go back to swim?
Gotta be quick. Gotta be quick. Okay, water dogs, let's go. We got a bus that's gonna be waiting. Yeah, so I don't know if that's going to be like the last field trip that school ever allows me to do with the kids without permission forms, or what's going to happen in that regard. But man, those kids are going home drenched at the end of the day for the most part. But they had fun, and like I told the kids yesterday, like if you haven't learned how to walk, balance yourself and walk on slippery river rocks, what business do you have like learning literature and mathematics if you can't do basic primal stuff, right? So I'm happy with the outcome of that whole process, and I'm ready to do it again tomorrow with another group, and we'll see how that goes. One more thing before I turn off for the day. At least I think I'm going to tune off for the day. It's kind of early evening time now, and unless I get a snake call, there's probably not going to be anything more for me to report. But yesterday, I started off my day with an interesting call from the country club, and this came from the guy I call Riverstone Rob, who I know from, his residency in Riverstone, and he found one of the rattlesnake dens that I sometimes look at. Anyway, Rob works at the country club now, and they had a baby, a fledgling great horned owl that was kind of right out in the middle of their golf fairways and such, and its nest was way up, like quite high in the canopy of the surrounding cottonwood trees. So there's no way for anybody to get the bird back up in the nest, and everybody was afraid to touch it to begin with, which is why they called me. So what I opted to do, originally I thought, well, if it's actually injured or something, then I'm going to need to take it to birds of prey. But this is really often the case, and I'm going to get plenty more calls this season that are like this, where people come across fledgling birds, which are birds that are just out of the nest for the first time, and they don't really have their full wings yet. It's fly or die, basically, and a lot of them are going to end up on the ground for an extra day or two before they build the wing strength to take them up into the tree branches and such. So it's not unusual to find a young bird on the ground. Doesn't mean that they were quote unquote thrown from the nest or fell from the nest or whatever. It's time to leave the nest. And so I'm going to leave you with some owl footage from the owl that I did not take away to any kind of rehab center, but just merely moved to safer grounds. The nest is right there, hey?
Yeah. See, there's one sitting up there, right?
Yeah, he's just fledging. This is normal. Hey, buddy.
He says,
You're getting a lot of attention, hey? Yeah, it's just time for them to leave the nest. So sometimes this is what happens is they try to take their first flight a day or two early, and their wings just aren't there yet, so they end up spending a day or two on the ground.
But this is dangerous in here for him, though.
Yeah, so is there somewhere we could take him where his mom's
gonna... He said
gonna...
birds of prey would say just to leave him.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they would. Yeah, because he's just fledging. This is totally normal. Oh, look at that display, huh? My goodness.
Oh, yeah. I got a good one. Oh, look.
Where are you going? Can we just move you that way? If I just chase you, will you go that way? No. Yeah. Let's keep going over there. Let's go to the spruce trees. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, he was just, when I brought Rob back, he was just laid off against the tree like that. Oh yeah, it won't be long.
Yeah, you just take them by their legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
so close to flying, eh?
Yeah, he's getting close. He'll be up in a day or two. All right, we'll just leave you here. Hopefully you won't shock out from being handled, but you'll be okay.
Should we check on him?
Yeah, for sure. Monitor him.